Hello guys, this is Adip. Welcome to my channel Movement Science where I simplify biomechanics and also lot of ortho topics with Joe. So if you are new to this channel, consider subscribing. Also check me out on Instagram where I post daily MCQs and also pictures of my notes. The reference time for all the topics that I am going to cover will be mentioned down in the description. So check that out and let's get started. In this video, we are going to talk about the kinetics of the shoulder joint. Now, what is kinetics? As I've talked about in the previous videos, kinetics is basically the reason for your movement, and that is your muscles. So we are going to talk about the muscles around your shoulder joint. So the muscles around the shoulder joint are divided into elevators and depressors. So elevation and depression are the movements. So under elevation, there is your deltoid, supraspinatus and infraspinatus. Then there is your upper, middle and lower trapezius and the serratus anterior, which I won't discuss about this because I have talked about this in my last two videos. I made sure that I was giving enough time for this concept because it's often overlooked. So do check out my upper rotation videos to understand the concept. And then the rhomboid. Under depressors, we have your pectoralis major and minor, that are your chest muscles. Then latissimus dorsi, also known as the pulling muscle. Then teres major and rhomboid. So if you have noticed, I have subgrouped all these muscles because they kind of work together in harmony. So your deltoid and your rotator cuff muscles work together. Upper trapezius and serratus anterior are the upper rotators. Then your rhomboid, you can just keep it aside because rhomboids over here, they are basically your retractors. Then teres major and rhomboid, they also kind of have a function together, and pectoralis and latissimus dorsi also have a function which kind of goes together with one another. So that's all for introduction. So let's start with our deltoid muscle. So as we always start with the other topics, first we will look at the function of the muscle. So if you look at deltoid muscle, it has three parts. There is the anterior part, then there's the lateral part and posterior. So anterior is purple, lateral is orange and posterior is red. Let's look at these muscles on Joe. So if you look at Joe, this is your anterior deltoid. Then this is your lateral deltoid or middle deltoid. And this is your posterior deltoid, right? So these are the three muscle fibers that deltoid can be divided into. So if you look at the anterior muscle fibers, it causes flexion. So over here anterior causes flexion. Then anterior and lateral, it together causes scaption. So if this is flexion, straight flexion, scaption will be in the plane of the scapula. It will be this plane. So slightly abducted, and this movement will be your scaption, right? So anterior and lateral causes scaption. And then posterior. So posterior deltoid, what it does horizontal abduction and also has some compressive forces. Horizontal abduction is basically when you are taking your arm outward and backward like this. So that was about the muscle. Now let's go to some force components. So as we know, the deltoid has a translatory force, right? So as we all know, we saw in the dynamic stabilization video. If you haven't checked that out, do check it out. Otherwise this video will be hard to understand. So under that we saw that your shoulder joint, your humerus has a superior translatory force, right? So that is the translatory force we are talking about. So what happens is, when you are doing overarm abduction or flexion, the translatory force, once your arm goes up, it gets converted into compressive force because it's pulling towards or inward, right? So when you do this, it's downward, so it's kind of a compressive force. So your translatory force gets converted into compressive force for deltoid. And the rotatory force, that was if you are doing abduction, the rotatory force which is there is used up to oppose your gravity because gravity is pulling it down, right? So the rotatory force of the deltoid will be used to oppose the gravity. So that is about the forces. Now let's look at three more points over here under deltoid. First is the primary mover. It is called as the primary mover. Deltoid is the primary mover with ITS. That is very important. That is your rotator cuff muscles, right? It is a primary mover, but very importantly with the help of infraspinatus, teres minor and subscapularis. Again, this concept too we have talked about in the dynamic stabilization. If there is rotator cuff derangement, what will you see? You will see shoulder shrug, that is basically your scapular upward rotation along with superior translation of your humerus, something like this. Then the next point is the length tension relationship. For deltoid, the length tension relationship is very important. I have talked about this in our previous videos too. So the optimal position of the scapula helps your deltoid to be in the right length tension relationship. So basically the right position of your humerus and your scapula helps the deltoid, which is present between both of them, to keep the right length so that it can produce right amount of tension. If it's too far away, that is your scapula and humerus are too far away or too close to each other, the tension that deltoid will be producing to carry out the movement won't be enough. So hence the optimal position of the scapula, especially the scapula, is very important, which is given to it by your serratus anterior and trapezius muscle. And over here, trapezius especially plays a very important role in giving the optimal position to your scapula. So basically, if your scapula is not stable, 60 to 70 degree elevation is seen at your shoulder joint. That's all, the 60 to 75 degree. Even if 90 degree was possible, because your scapula is not efficient at stabilizing, only 60 to 70 degree of elevation is seen. So that is something to keep in mind, that length tension relationship is very important for deltoid to act, and that is given to it by your serratus anterior and trapezius muscle. So over here, that's all I'll be mentioning about trapezius and serratus anterior function. If you want to know more about it in more depth, you can check out my previous videos on upward rotation. And then last point about the deltoid muscle is it is a multipinnate fiber. Now what is multipinnate? Deltoid, if you see, it had different parts to it, right? It had anterior, middle and posterior. And again in that, deltoid has fibers like this. These are the multipinnate fibers. And what they do is, if you are doing an elevation, some of the fibers will be activated. And during the end ranges, all the fibers of the deltoid muscle will be activated and it can generate a lot of tension. So over here, as we see, the multipinnate fibers, more motor recruitment that will be seen in the end ranges of motion. So that's how deltoid functions. With more motor recruitment, it is able to compensate for its lack of momentum, its lack of mechanical advantage that it has, and also if there is not much optimum length tension relationship, all these are compensated by your multipinnate fibers, right? So this is something to keep in mind. Another point I wanted to mention over here, why did I say that trapezius plays a major important role? Because it was seen that when there was a serratus anterior paralysis because of nerve injury, the person was still able to do upward rotation at his shoulder joint, even though his serratus anterior was totally paralyzed. But when your serratus anterior is intact and when your upper trapezius is paralyzed, the person is not able to do upward rotation. So this is why we say that trapezius plays a major role in carrying out the upward rotation. Although serratus anterior is called as the major or the prime mover, right? So I really don't know why serratus anterior is given the title of the prime mover, because I feel like trapezius is the one deserving it. So if you guys find out, just let me know in the comments or maybe on Instagram. So that's it for deltoid. Now let's move on to the other muscles. So what did we cover till now? We covered deltoid and we also covered upper, middle and lower trapezius along with serratus anterior, right? That is the upward rotators. Now let us move on to supraspinatus and ITS kind of, and then rhomboid. Okay, so talking about the supraspinatus, the main function of supraspinatus is abduction. An interesting part is it can cause the whole shoulder elevation even without the deltoid. That is, even if deltoid is paralyzed, the supraspinatus can cause whole abduction or elevation at the shoulder joint, which is very interesting because we've been taught that supraspinatus is responsible for the starting few degrees of abduction, right? But that is not true. It can carry out whole abduction and it has a very high momentum till 60 degrees and it is pretty constant. The momentum is pretty constant. The second function is the stability. So it is a compressor and a steerer. So basically compressor is the supraspinatus keeps the humerus compressed within the glenoid fossa, and steerer is basically it controls the position of the humerus in the glenoid fossa. Now obviously supraspinatus is not the only muscle which steers, but it is one of them. And then last point I would like to add under supraspinatus is the rotator cuff tear that we commonly see in many patients. it is not always only the supraspinatus that is affected, right? So it is rarely isolated, hence more deficits are seen in the patient. So it's along with supraspinatus, the other parts of the rotator cuff are also torn, and that's why you see more of deficit in the patients. Then coming to ITS, that is infraspinatus, teres minor and your subscapularis. A very important point is the subscapularis activity is medial rotation, right? So the medial rotatory components are kind of diminished in elevation, right? During the elevation, the activity of subscapularis is kind of dim, and your ITS, that is the rotator cuff muscles, they have a very high activity during flexion. Your rotator cuff muscles have a very high activity during flexion as compared to during an abduction movement. So that is something you can keep in mind, that during flexion the rotator cuff activates more compared to abduction. Then going to the last upward rotator, that is your rhomboid muscles. So rhomboid, there is major and minor, and it is active during upward rotation. Now in simple words, if you want to remember the function of rhomboid, it is a retractor. It causes retraction of your shoulder joint, but more importantly, it acts similar to your lower trapezius. That is, over here if you can see, offsets lateral translatory forces like your lower trapezius. In my upward rotation video, I've talked about how lower trapezius keeps the scapula stable and lets it go for upward rotation. So rhomboid has the same function to play. So it plays role in controlling the scapula, and paralysis of this rhomboid muscle can affect your scapulohumeral rhythm. So it has a very major role to play in the scapulohumeral rhythm, that is stability, that is providing the stability to your scapula. If you want to know how exactly this happens, you can check out my video on upward rotation. So with that, we finish off the topic of upward rotators of our shoulder joint. We talked about deltoid, the three parts of the deltoid, how it acts with your rotator cuff to cause elevation at the shoulder joint. Then we looked at the supraspinatus, how it carries the whole abduction without the help of deltoid. Then upper trapezius, lower trapezius and middle trapezius along with serratus anterior causes upward rotation, which I have a dedicated video for it. And then the rhomboid also has a similar function to your lower trapezius, that is, it keeps your scapula inward and stable and provides a major role of stability during scapular upward rotation. So that's all we have for elevation of your shoulder joint. Next video will be about the depression at the shoulder joint. So I'll see you there. That's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, please share it with your friends, and don't forget to hit that like button and some comments so that I can get some feedback regarding what other topics I can make. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and see you soon in the next video.